Mike has decided he's going after the E90 stock chassis record. So we're gonna put a power glide in this thing. OG E90.
Is this recording? Oh, hi. Where's my parts? Most of them are there. Got the stubs here. So we got my car in the shop. I guess we haven't done any videos on this car yet. So this is my 06 325. This was one of the first cars that I know of that was swapped. There was one guy in Australia that I had seen photographs of before I did this car. Basically, I already knew that I was going to LS swap something, so I had a 6-liter and it's a 6-speed drivetrain pretty much already built sitting in the garage, and I was looking for a later model 4-door to swap. And I came across this car in San Antonio. Had a blown head gasket and it was locked up. Got it for like $2,500 at that time. This was 4 or 5 years ago now. So I put the 6-liter in it. I did the swap. There's some old videos on my YouTube page of that. That got some traction and got some people interested in the cars. So this is what it's become now. So this is a flat top Gen 4 rotating assembly 6-liter iron block. It's got a VS Racing Gen 2 7875 on it. Right now it has a TR6060 6-speed transmission and the 4.8 rear end. So on the dyno, this thing made like 800 horsepower on boost, and then we sprayed it for fun and made like 875. So what we're doing today is putting in some G-force axles. These are from Seems Legit Garage. Those guys came up with a kit and some axles that fit these cars. We're going to be using my swap kit on the diff and their axles. They're a pretty nice part. And what we're going to be going after is the E90 chassis record. So I'll put a link or a screenshot of the list of the fastest times that we found so far. If somebody knows about a E90 or a 3 Series or 1 Series, E82, E90, E92, any of those, I'm kind of grouping those together in the same class. N54, N55, LS powered, whatever. We're going to go for the current chassis record with this. So we're going to be putting a power glide in it. We're not going real fast on the 6-speed. I already know that. I'm not even going to waste my time. I'm just going to break driveline stuff, trying to go fast. And I'm not about that. So we're going to get it in the air, pull out the 6-speed, make some room for the glide that we had a buddy, Caesar at HPF, let me borrow. So hopefully I don't break it because I got to give it back to him in one piece. But we're going to get it put together and see where we'll go.
Got Mike's engine trans ready to come out. We're going to attempt to go out the bottom, but it's just impossible to reach the top transmission bolts. His mounts, I think, are like the first iteration that he did, and he never really updated them or changed them or swapped in the new style because of his turbo manifold down here. So this motor is like really far back and basically almost touching the firewall. So it took us about 30 minutes or so, 45 minutes, and we got it ready to get pulled out. He's gonna go run to the house. He has the engine hoist over at his place, and as soon as he gets back, need to pull the shifter, boot, and get that assembly detached, and then we can pull this thing out of here.
So we got the driveline out. Since this is the first car, my motor mounts are a little bit different than the production stuff now. Pretty much the same style, but my motor sits about an inch further back than it would on a new set of motor mounts. And I can't change it at this point because I already have a turbo crossover made that would run into the K-member. Otherwise, I'd push the motor further forward, and then you can actually get to the transmission bolts from underneath the car. We just did a torque converter swap in a 4L80 car a couple weeks ago, and we were able to get to everything in the car. You have to get to the top bolt from the top, but everything else is pretty easy. You can do a little hammer work on the tunnel to clear these two bolts with a socket, but it's possible to get it out from the bottom of the car on the new mounts. So we're gonna pull the transmission off, get the glide installed, and slam it back together. This isn't stock. This shit's like...
Are you sure?
No, I don't think this is stock.
Looks stock.
Why is it? I guess it's just a solid case.
It's thick as fuck. Look at this. It's like
You're gonna wanna.
It's like an inch thick.
The
Read you overfill it.
the reed cases say reed on them. So
You want to put a fitting on here
Not a reed case.
with the line coming out, so it could be your catch can.
did you see yours? Yours is like half full.
I know. I know a lot of things.
I've seen.
I was like, hey,
I've seen some
I'd
shit.
rather it be there.
Why?
She's a squirter.
What?
She's a squirter.
Stop.
Pulling a Felipe.
Mike gonna be cleaning up for a while after this.
Felipe was like, I think it blew the pressure relief. I was like, if it wasn't doing it before, now it's all of a sudden doing it.
What are those, 13?
I don't know if it's going in.
15.
You got a flashlight? Give me a flashlight. You should have one over there somewhere.
Yeah, these are gonna be difficult, but they'll be gettable. I mean, I can get to this. They're definitely gonna need to be 90.
Just do like the truck, cut a trap door underneath the carpet.
Oh, this is it. It's how Jason's had to do his.
Oh, that's not that bad.
It's not the worst.
Not the word. First, I mean, trying to tie them up might be.
Absolute disaster.
This is not a bolt-on ordeal, dude.
Things have escalated since the last time I was here.
Beef up the trailing arms because these things, I guess, flex. We already talked about that, so.
Measure for a drive shaft.
Fits my
Really?
6060. Yeah, I just gotta pull it out like that and it works fine. So I got. This is the. Everybody always asks about it. So.
This is out of a Cobra jet, isn't it?
Yeah. So this is the drive shaft out of the TR6060 setup. So this is a Sonax adapter that goes on the back of the TR6060 because it has one of those rubber
Doesn't
couplers.
have a part number?
No, we can pull it up though. Summit sells them. They're like $250. So it bolts on the back of that 3-bolt flange, has a center pilot, and adapts it to a 1350. But the problem with that is now you don't have it slip anywhere in the drive shaft. So
Oh yeah, look at that Mustang drag.
yeah, this is a Cobra jet. It actually says on here somewhere. I thought maybe it's just that Mustang drag pack. This is a Cobra jet drive shaft, and it has slip in the drive shaft itself. So instead of having like a slip yoke on the front of a TR6060 or a
beefy-
D56,
Beefy slip.
yeah. So, but now look at the difference here. So this is the backing plate off a 335 with the 325 caliper on it. You can see the difference in size of the rotors. So to fit a 15 on them, on a 335, you got to convert it to the early stuff. But the parking brake,
So what wheels are you gonna run on this bitch?
the 15s, I have to get different rotors.
Oh.
So this is what I didn't know, is the parking brake diameters are different. So you can't just stab a 325 caliper on the late model stuff because it doesn't fit around this in here. I tried to stab this on here.
It's a manual. It's
It
got
hit-
a
it
parking
hits
brake
this.
all the time.
But
Cut it.
I found out you can get an X1 rotor and it goes on the big parking brake and this is a small diameter. So what I'm unsure about right now is if this caliper works or I have to get a 328i caliper. We'll find out. And I'm just gonna cut the backing clip.
What the hell happened here?
This is how I got it. It's got some more love tap suckers.
Just turn. You should just set the chassis record and then turn this into a drift car.
I hate brakes. Hate them.
What is this for yourself?
Mike's working on his getting his 8.8 back in. He did had to do some swapping, I guess, to make everything work, and then he went and put Solomon's old 28s, and they actually fit.
Yeah, I think we decided they fit
Had to run a spacer.
with a 15 mil spacer and a 7.5 inch back spacing because this car has N52 springs. So it sits way higher than anything with sport suspension, so it clears. We did have to take out this brace though. There's this little subframe brace.
Kind of looks like a fuel tank protector. Alright guys, well that's gonna do it for this video on Mike's BMW. Ran into a couple of issues. You heard earlier in the video that the drive shaft was gonna work. Turns out the yoke had to be swapped on the front, which in turn made the drive shaft too short. So Mike's waiting on that along with a few other parts. So as soon as he gets those in, we'll jump back on this thing, get it together, and take it to the track. So we'll catch y'all in the next one.